We did a bunch of audio testing throughout the course of the morning. I was joined by Lucifer192, who was kind enough to join me to do a bunch of the testing today. He's an all right fella. We tested stuff on woods, reserve, shoreline, interchange, streets, and customs. Basically, what we've come to the conclusion of is there is absolutely a difference. We even tested chat. Like, I turned off the screen and positioned myself in a way where chat couldn't tell whether, the sound was coming from, whatever direction. Like, they didn't have any, like, preconceived notions of where anything was. And then Lucy kind of, like, jumped up and down or, like, ran off in different directions. And then I asked chat, like, where did that sound come from? Was it in front? Was it in back? Is it, on a clock? Was it 2 o'clock? Is it 5 o'clock? Is it 7 o'clock? Whatever. Most of chat at this point, I think, and this is super rudimentary testing and, obviously is going to be something that needs to be tested a lot more in depth or whatever. But most of chat, from what we could tell, got, like, the directions right. So front and back is now something that you can tell the difference with sound positioning, but it's very, very, very subtle. So I don't think that this is like the final iteration, but it is slightly better. We got a whole bunch of clips of stuff that we'll include in the video that Saint will doctor up so that everybody can hear it. He'll even put in like little captions and stuff, and you guys can play along and guess or whatever. And then after the clips play, you can figure out whether or not you were right. The other thing is, in the patch notes, it said that they fixed the memory leak. I can relatively confirm that that's true. So we did 3 straight hours of raids, just loading in, leaving, just to check and see if there was going to be any memory leak compared against like when we started, what the frame rates were, and then after a few hours, compare what our frame rates were. They were all relatively the same as what we would have expected if we had been going in on fresh runs. So we can't really see a big difference in terms of any memory leak. Like, it definitely not anywhere close to what it was with binaural on. Binaural was on in all of these tests, by the way. Anyway, yeah, couldn't tell any difference in frame rate changes, so we don't think that there's any memory leak, or if it is a memory leak, if there is one, it's very small. Even on, if it was my machine or Lucy's machine, everybody, we kind of agreed that the memory leak was so very small, or it's gone at this point. So I would turn on the binaural audio checkbox. It's only going to work on 4 maps. The maps that we tested that didn't have Oculus audio like working on them or whatever all sound the same. All of the occlusion stuff is still wonky, and like floors sound like they're on the same floor. There's actually a clip where Lucy ran around on interchange, and I thought that I was tracking his movement from like left to right. I thought he was in front of me, and he wasn't only behind me and not in front of me, but he's also a floor above me, and I had no idea until like the very last second. I probably would have been dead. So those maps don't work at all. We tested customs on customs when we went to dorms. We tested different floor changes. I just kind of like stared into a wall in the corner, and Lucy ran between the 3rd floor and the 1st floor, and then said like, all right, which floor am I on? And we, chat and myself, we all guessed correctly depending on what floors they were on. There's still some janky stuff going on between like when you're standing in a doorway and when you're all the way inside of a building, or if you're outside. The audio does change as people enter like doorway thresholds and then go like deeper into a building. You can hear like the stages of the audio shifting as they get deeper into a building. But those stages are, I guess, the same for the most part, depending on whether or not you're standing in front of the door outside, or if you're like all the way down around the corner of the building. The sounds, depending on where the person inside the building is standing, still sound the same, regardless of like where you are like physically positioned. What's the 4 maps? The 4 maps are factory, customs, streets, and woods. Those are the maps that it works on. Bunkers on woods have good occlusion and sound now. When somebody's all the way inside of a bunker and they're like firing a gun into the floor, they're talking in VoIP, you can hear their muffled voice, and you can hear very muffled gunshots like through the ground now. So the sound actually projects a little bit. It's not like it's directionally, it doesn't sound like it's coming from like the doorway, but there is sound now instead of it being completely silent. So at least that has been, more fixed. It's not broken anymore. It's better than it was. They still have to work on like where the sound is emanating from, but it's there. So that's good, at least. What about reserve? All of the other maps, other than those 4, all of the other maps are still broke. They didn't change any of that. They haven't touched any of those maps at all. It was quite literally just like the 4 maps that they have Oculus turned on. So I would turn on binaural, turn on the checkbox. It doesn't seem like it's going to hurt anymore in having it on. The memory usage seems like it's been fixed, and there is some directional stuff going on with the audio now. Like I said, it's better, but I wouldn't say that it's obvious yet. It's not so good that it's like not going to be confusing, but it's less confusing than it was. You can actually tell front and back now. So there is one other like major thing that I have a clip of, and that is regardless of weight, regardless of surface that you are standing on at the moment, which is probably like it's something that BSG is going to need to fix. Regardless of surface that you are walking on, so it doesn't matter if it's broken glass or gravel or tile or wood or any of those things, in first person, like if you are the one crouch walking, slow walking, crouched, you make zero noise now. None. It's not even like muffled footsteps. It's just no noise. It's completely silent. There is no sound coming out of your feet. In first person, it sounds like you're making step sounds, but in third person, no one can hear you, and it doesn't matter how heavy you are either. So you can be yellow weight, like big old fat boy ninja, walking around with a full backpack of tank batteries. It won't matter. If you are crouch slow walking, it makes no sound. We tested it a bunch of different ways. There is no noise if you slow walk when crouched. None. So the stages that it went through was originally the sound, like the footstep sounds were no different depending on speed. Like even if you were slow walking crouched, your footstep sounds were just as loud as if you were walking like normally upright. Just the only difference was the tempo, right? Like how fast the footsteps came apart from each other. Then they had fixed it so you could crouch walk, but it was the same volume if you slow walk crouched, whether you were overweight or not. Didn't matter. Now it's not only that, but there's no sound when you crouch walk. So yeah, we tested that, and it's I'm gonna chalk that one up to being broken. But you know, fat boy ninjas, silent moving, all that stuff. That is now. I'm going to assume they will hotfix that. How long it takes them to hotfix that, I don't know. Okay, so away from sound, a couple of other like small updates for anybody that's still sticking around at the end of the video. They again changed bags. So bags used to have much larger penalties. They were like 4 and 9 and 10%. Now most of the bags are like 1% minus. So they're still keeping the penalties on the bags, but they've made them so minuscule after a small, like, I don't know, hotfix variable change that they did this morning that it's almost like pointless. Most all the bags don't really have movement penalties associated with them anymore. The AS valve, for whatever reason, has a texture issue with the receiver. You can see it's white. Yeah. And I guess, and it's like this in RAID. It looks like this in RAID. So they'll have to fix that at some point. I think that's everything though. Oh, and invisible players are still a thing. But I think I talked about that in the last video. Invisible players are still a thing. And interchange lighting still sucks. I think that's everything. Just stand here and like shoot a couple of rounds in the ground. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, just keep firing single shots. I'll do like a walk out, walk in. Sounds good. It sounds good. Okay, now do it.
Anything?
Nothing at all. You are dead. Dead silent. The age of the fat ninja's upon us, boys. Let's fuck go! Tracking you.
Estimating.
You're in Are you above me? You're above me? Oh my god. Wait. So you were hold on. So you were above me and behind me. Right?
Yep.
And dude, honestly, if you look back at the VOD, so like you look right, yeah, you can see me. So when you were running like right to left, I went like this. I'm like, oh, he's over here. Oh, he's over there now. How is he running that fast? And then I went, wait a minute, and then you were there. Like it sounded like you were in front of me. Like it's just not on in this maps at all.
No.
Yeah, like front, back, up, down don't work on these maps. Yeah, it still does. Here, just run around a little bit more.
Still broke.
Hear it? Hear that sounds occluded? Yeah, it's still there. Fire a shot into the ground every second or so as you walk backward into the door.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, that seems like it works. All right, well, that's the update video for today. They're probably going to make some more iterative changes as time goes on. They definitely have to hotfix a couple of things that, at least that's what we think from what we've tested. Thanks for coming and checking out the video. If you would give me a follow at twitch.tv/onepeg, I would be very, very appreciative. As always, consider subbing the channel right here. How much, Chad? How many subs do we have left? It's like 600 subs to 100,000, something like that. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, thanks for coming by. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.